Hey guys, this is hopefully a quick beginner guide for Last Epoch with the new season that's coming out on the April 17th of 2025. I'm pretty sure that a lot of new people will try out the game, and also a lot of returning people, of course. And since I want all of you to have a fun and hopefully enjoyable start into the game, I would like to just make a very quick guide about the different classes, what they are, what type of playstyle they have, and especially also some basic general information about the game that's good to know. Now, we're going to start obviously with the classes. Now, first some basic info about the classes. There are 5 different classes, as you can see: the Sentinel, the Rogue, the Mage, Primalist, and Acolyte. Each of these 5 classes has 3 different ascendancies, or 3 different masteries as they are called in this game. So you have, for the Sentinel for example, the first class that we're going to start with. The Sentinel has the Void Knight, Forge Guard, and Paladin. And you can, in Season 2, you can respec at any time your mastery. You couldn't do this before, but now you can respec your masteries at any point, so you're never forced to stay with Void Knight forever. You can switch at any point. And you choose your mastery later on in the story. I think it is in Act 4 or something. That's when you choose your mastery, or Act 2, and you can switch it freely later on. Now, we are going to start with the Sentinel. The Sentinel is, as you can see, your traditional sword and shield class that gets close to the action and plows through his enemies with different skills like Shield Rush, for example. And the first class we're going to take a look at, the first mastery, is Forge Guard. And Forge Guard is a mastery that increases the defensive capabilities and uses a lot of shield skills, as well as his mastery skill Forge Strike. And that skill has a chance to summon a forge weapon on hit, which summons an army of mass fire weapons to aid you. So basically they swirl around you, and you can use this to, as you can see, a melee attack that hits all enemies in an area in front of you. And Forge Guard is very tank and Sentinel, so if you want to play more into the tank style of gameplay, then this is definitely the mastery for you. And the next one is Paladin. I think everybody knows what a Paladin basically is. Everything to do with holy magic and holy strike. And they have a lot of holy skills that, for example, allow you to double your stats through the mastery skill Holy Aura, which doubles your stats for a certain amount of riot. Gain 30% increased damage and 50% additional elemental resistances. Doubles the stat bonuses for 4 seconds, as you can see. And it's perfect class for, everybody that just wants to heal and buff your players, because it has a lot of heal and buff skills, as you can see. And it's perfect if you want to be a support type player in your party and just want to buff and heal your players. Next is the Void Knight. Void Knight is the edgy 12-year-old, the dream of every edgy 12-year-old, as I like to say. You basically use dark magic and have a lot of AoE damage, and you gain a passive increase in void damage as well, so you definitely want to skill into void damage. You have a lot of AoE skills in this mastery. Perfect for everybody that just likes to be an edgy 12-year-old and live out their fantasy, but it's also a very good class. The next one will be the Rogue, and the Rogue is basically your typical ranged and melee combatant. It wields daggers, bows, and other weapons of the typical assassins, as you know them. He is very, very mobile with a wide range of ranged and melee attacks. And we're going to start with the Blade Dancer. The Blade Dancer is the melee focused class. It's basically like your typical assassin style, wielding daggers, being very mobile, and going heavily towards a slash and dash type of gameplay. And if you want to play as a typical assassin with a lot of fast-paced melee combats, this is the perfect mastery for you. Next is Marksman. Marksman is the total opposite of it, as you can probably guess. This focuses heavily on ranged attacks, and you can, for example, attack with lightning arrows or rain arrows from the sky, depending on what you like to play as, what your playstyle would like to be. And it's perfect for everybody that likes to kite the enemies around and use a lot of ranged attacks. Falconer is a pet type class, because you get this falcon, and the falcon basically fights with you, and this class is obviously, this mastery is obviously perfect for everybody that wants to play a pet class but still use like a bow and arrow and stuff like this, and still have typical ranger mobility. You can also use traps to slow down your enemies and cripple them with slow effect or debuffs. And the next class is going to be the Mage. Now, the Mage obviously starts as your typical mage, as you could guess. It has a lot of different elements. For example, lightning, frost with glacier, as well as volcanic orb, fire. These are the 3 elements that the Mage controls. He's a ranged magic user, and he also has utility skills like, for example, teleport, that teleports you. The first class is Sorcerer, and Sorcerer basically goes even more into the elemental damage, and you can focus on, for example, fire damage, lightning damage, ice damage, and you can heavily spec into a different type of elemental damage if you want to. It's perfect for everybody that likes a typical burst style of gameplay and focus on long-range spell casting. Now, Spellblade is a very interesting class in my opinion. It mixes the art of magic and swordplay. It's a very big detour from the typical mage that stands in the back and fires spells. With this mastery you go close in and enhance your sword to do different types of elemental attacks. For example, fire attack, lightning attack, freeze attack as well, and it's perfect for everybody that wants to play a melee playstyle but still focus on elemental damage. So if you like elemental spells, for example lightning, but still want to go into the melee range, this mastery is perfect for you. Next one is Rune Master. Rune Master is one of the most unique classes masteries I've ever seen in an ARPG by far. He basically crafts and casts different runes, depending on the number and order of different skills you've used. For example, if you use Flame Rush combined with Rune Bolt and Glyph of the Minion or something, you get runes for these skills, and then with Runic Invocation you can use these and they combine different runes. If you have, for example, fire, ice, lightning, fire as combination, and then you use Runic Invocation, you consume all of your active runes to cast a unique invocation based on the combination and order of runes consumed, as you can see, and the last rune in the sequence determines the damage type, and it's a very, very fun to play and perfect for everybody that wants to play like a combo style playstyle and something unique that's not your typical ARPG class that you see in almost every ARPG. So it's very much a class for people that just want to try out something different, and I can highly recommend it. Now, the next one, the Primalist. Primalist is, as you can see, a druid. In a lot of cases, he's very much attuned to nature magic and has combines basically the power of weapons and companions with power of nature. You can summon companions to fight by his side and also spawn totems to unleash elemental damage on the area. And the Beastmaster is the first class, and as you can probably guess from the name, it basically focuses on the beasts, your companions that you can get, and you can summon different types of companions, you can summon more of them, and it's just perfect for everybody that loves their pets and be close with the nature and your pets, and have your pets fight for you. Also, there's a way for you to use squirrels. So cute little squirrels can run around behind you and destroy your foes. Very fun, very fun. Highly recommend to play this and try it out. Then the next one is Shaman. Shaman focuses on totems. All types of totems. The main one is the Storm Totem that goes into lightning damage, but can also be switched to, for example, ice, cold damage, or fire damage. And it's a perfect mix for everybody that wants to play a more totem style, play more pet-like, but still not move too much, and have a lot of elemental attacks at their fingertips, which these totems definitely help with. And the next one is the Druid. The Druid is basically, you love your pet a little bit too much and you want to become your pet. You get different transformations that allow you to have different forms. As you can see, the Swarmblade form, Spriggan form, and each form has a different bonus, unique abilities. For example, the Werbear form is very strong, very heavily dependent on strength and being powerful. Spriggan form is very dependent on casting abilities and spell casting, and you can switch between them during the fight for every single situation. There will be a perfect transformation for you. Now, the last one is the Acolyte. I think everybody here can guess what this class is. Yes, it's a dark magic user, as you can see, using the undead to fight for you and also curses to slow down and cripple your enemies. The first mastery is the Necromancer, and the Necromancer focuses on summoning minions, summoning undeads, and it's heavily focused on just minions. If you always want to control your own undead army to rain chaos on the battlefield and you just sit in the back and let them do their work, choose this mastery. Lich is a mastery that specializes in blood magic, especially in stuff like taking the enemy's life to strengthen your own and making yourself stronger, as well as putting debuffs on the enemies. So this is a very, very, very tanky mastery actually. Normally acolytes and classes, magic classes, are very squishy and glass cannon-like, but this class is absolutely capable of surviving pretty much anything if you build it right. And the next one is the Warlock, which specializes in ranged magic attacks, and it allows you to call Sonic Fissure with this is the mastery skill that basically drops fissure in the ground that allows you to have spirits come out of it and also get dot damage off. So if somebody walks in, it gets a stack of dot damage, which gives you damage over time. So a phenomenal class for everybody that wants to very heavily go into dot type of playstyle. A dark magic damage over time effects. Perfect class for this. Also played this this one, this league, and it's this season, and it's a lot of fun. Now, for the next one, we're going to actually enter the game with this character right here to show you some stuff. The first thing will be skills and respecking, because the skill tree in this game is absolutely phenomenal. As I already mentioned, you have your masteries, you have your passive skill tree over here. This is your base class, and you have your mastery. For example, I chose Blade Dancer, but I can still put points into Marksman and Falconer if I want to. Up to the 50% mark of the skill tree, I can still choose whatever I want, which is great. So you can still get some stuff. For example, you can get more health here if you would like that, and dodge rating. And the great part is you can always reroll this, as I just said. You can also in Season 2 change your mastery. For now, I'm locked to Blade Dance. I can't change this, but if I want to, for example, re-roll all my passives, I can easily do this by just respec all, and it will just cost me some gold to respec all of them, and then I can just use these points again to respec, and this gold is super easily got. You get this so fast, it's actually insane. But the really fun part starts with the skills itself, because as you can see, you have all of your skills over here, and you can choose 5 different skills that you can use to basically modify in whatever way you want. For example, this is one of my main damage skills, and you can, and this one as well, you can just choose to go into cold damage. You can choose to go into lightning damage, and you can read through all of these skills. They all have unique playstyles and unique ways to play the game. For example, this one goes into a bleed build, and it's insane, better called into a poison build, and you have an absolutely insane amount of customization that you can have here. So I highly encourage you to just don't follow a build guide. Please don't follow a build guide. Just pick whatever you want, pick whatever you think looks cool, try it out, read through the different skills here. They aren't long, it's not too much to read, and just, for example, hey, I want to play into like a cold build, then I just go over here, and please try it out. Highly recommend, because there's absolutely no cost for respecking. You can remove individual skill points. For example, if I want to remove the skill point and put it over here for some reason, I could do that. But if I respec the skill point, I will just do this to show you. And now I stop respecking. I don't get the skill point back immediately. Instead, I have a level, as you can see, and this level will increase the more I play with the skill. Now I don't have the skill point, but I can just play the game, and I will very quickly get the skill point back, because if you respec, you will automatically get to the level that you were previously a lot quicker than normally, than the first time you had to reach that level with your skill. And you can of course also despecialize the entire skill, and despecializing the entire skill would basically mean that you can have and pick another skill to choose from. Minimum specialized level 9 for the skill means basically if I despecialize the skills, I still have 9 skill points that I can invest, because every new skill that you then unlock, for example, when I unlocked the skill, I had 8 skill points to choose and to immediately implement, which is also a great way to just have the skill directly feel strong and impactful in a way, and that is absolutely amazing. So please, I can't say it often enough, don't be afraid to respec, try out different stuff. All it will cost you at most is some mastery points and some time, but trust me, it's done in like 5 minutes at most. And another very important thing that is also often overlooked by newcomers is sidequests. Sidequests are these quests over here, as you can see, and you can get a certain amount, as you can see down here, a certain amount of passive point rewards and idle slot rewards from these sidequests. These sidequests, they always list what you will get. For example, I will get 1 passive point for this one, but I already have maximum amount of passive points that I can get from the story. So if I get this one, I would only get the XP and the gold, not the passive point itself. And the same with the idle slots. And once you reach Act 8, I think, you should basically, if you've done every side quest, you should have all of the passive points and all of the idle slots. You will definitely have everything once you complete a snowy area in, I think is it the Imperial era? No, it's not. It's, I think, over here. Yes, I think over here. If you, once you complete this area, once you complete the divine area, basically you get, luckily, all of the skill points. You should have all of the passive points if you've done all of the side quests that are available at this point. You don't have to do all of them, of course, but if you want to, feel free to do so. And now another increasingly important point, and that is loot. I mean, why do we play ARPGs? For the loot. That should be clear to everybody. But we are often getting swamped by loot. I mean, I think everybody knows this feeling. So the creators of Last Epoch, the devs, were very smart and decided, hey, you know what would be absolutely amazing if we had a loot filter in game? And you know what? How about we make the best loot filter in the genre? And that's not an exaggeration by any means. This is the best loot filter in existence. hands down, nothing will ever beat this in the next coming years, I think. With Shift F, you can open the loot filter, and of course, if you don't have anything, create a new filter. You can give it a name, and you can, for example, say, let's just put a symbol here, and you can give it a color if you want. Let's confirm. You can also import a filter, my god, or paste clipboard content, basically. And that's also very easily done, no problem. If you want an in-depth guide for the loot filter, don't worry. If you want one, just write it in the comments, and I will definitely do one. But for now, I would just like to show you the very basics so you can start creating your own very small loot filter. The first thing, hold up, that's something that comes later. Now, the first rule that you would like to add, for example, can add rule, and we can say hide so it doesn't show up. Hide all items, as you can see. And now you can add a condition. You can, for example, say rarity. Condition is rarity. I do not want normal, magic, and rare items to show, for example. Because I only want exalted, unique, and set items, because that's the only ones that I need. Now I have here a magic weapon, a rare magic weapon. If I drop it, as you can see, it won't show up. Now I can press, if I'm not an idiot, hold on. Press X to basically show it again and pick it up, because we will need it. The very great thing is hide normal, magic, and rare items. And the next rule that you do is, for example, show rarity, magic items, and now you can see it shows magic items. That is because this rule overrules basically this one. So that's a little bit complex, but not too hard to understand, trust me. If you want to, for example, say, alright, I want to hide all normal, magic, and rare items, but for example, this item here has, for example, melee physical damage. For my build, I need melee physical damage. Now I would need a dagger, but that's something else. Let's just say I want to show all magic items, but I want them to have a specific affix, and that is, now here is all of the affixes basically listed. Every single one, for every single class. And I want increase physical, increased, what was it? Melee physical damage, was it, right? Melee physical damage, right. So I say, alright, I want FX melee physical damage, where is it? There, melee physical damage. Confirm. And you can say, I want at least one affix of this type. If you have multiple, so for example, let's just say attribute-wise, I would also like to, I don't know, let's just say for health, for example, I want increased health. Or confirm. Now I can say I want at least one or both of those affixes. And normally you would just want at least one. But this isn't the greatest stuff ever. This is not it. This is great, of course, but it gets a whole lot better, trust me. Melee physical damage, confirm. And now update this one. Now this will show up because it has melee physical damage. Now let's get one that does not have melee physical damage. For example, this one does not have melee physical damage. If I drop this one on the ground, it won't show up because it does not have this modifier. Very much good to know, and you can also emphasize this so that it capitalizes the item label, which means just that it will show even brighter so that you won't overlook it. That's very good for very specific stats that you want. And this is absolutely amazing, this loot filter. I highly encourage you to try around, play around with it. And yeah, just trust me, it's great. It's amazing. Now we are going to go over to something else. If you still have questions and I'm not there to answer them, first of all, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I will do my best to answer them. But if for some reason you want to try something, find something out, for example, I don't know what bleed does. You can press G for the game guide, the in-game game guide, and you can just type in bleed, and it will show you ailment, bleed, and describe what bleed does. I want to know what cold does, or freeze. Including the formula that they used to basically determine, for example, the freeze chance, with examples and everything. Game guide wise, this is a step above everything else I've ever seen in any game ever, and every game should just put this as a default. It's amazing and absolutely great. So if you ever have any questions, you don't need to ask in the chat, of course. Feel free to ask in the chat as well. Most people are very helpful. But if it's something simple like, what does freeze mean? You can just Google it in here and just it will explain what freeze does. And the next one will be another very important part of this game is crafting. Now please don't get a shock if I say crafting. Crafting isn't bad in this game. In fact, Last Epoch has the best crafting system in the ARPG space, in my opinion, and it's not even close. The reason for that is very simple. I'm going to also give you a very short explanation to crafting, and you have your item. The items that you can craft on have a forging potential. If this reaches 0, as you can imagine, you can't craft anymore, pretty obvious. And you also have prefixes and suffixes. Very general rule, prefixes are offensive based, so everything in terms of damage, damage over time, stuff like this. And suffixes are defense based. Everything offense based is basically prefix, suffixes are defense based. Now, if you want to, we start with runes. Runes are basically, if I want, there are these different types of runes and they all have a different function. I'm not going to go too in deep on what each rune does. It's perfectly explained on the rune itself. But basically, for example, this rune shatters it, destroys the item and gives you shards for these items, because you need shards to basically upgrade different items. For example, if I want to increase the melee physical damage, I need the corresponding affix shard for this, which I now have, and I can just basically upgrade the affix. As you can see, it removed some forging potential over here, but that kind of sucks, because what if I don't get it to tier 5? Tier 5 is the maximum. Maximum is 5 tiers that you can craft. You can craft up to tier 5. There are tier 6 and 7, but those can only drop on items. But that is too in-depth, don't worry. That will be explained in a dedicated crafting guide. If you want one, also let me know in the comments down below. And you can craft from tier 1 up to tier 5. And there are glyphs that basically... For example, this glyph of hope, if you increase an affix in any way, shape or form, or put a new affix on the item, make sure you have a glyph of hope equipped, or if you don't have one, wait until you have, because as you can see, it modifies the outcome of craft, granting it a 25% chance to have no forging potential cost. Which means, if I do this, and I'm lucky, of course I wasn't, but if I'm lucky, it basically does not remove forging potential. This also happens if I want to apply, for example, critical strike multiplier. I have affix shards for it, I want to apply it. Let's just choose something that I have a lot more of. For example, chance to slow on hit. It's a suffix, but still, same concept. As you can see, no forging potential was removed, and I also got a critical success, which means it basically got triggered twice. It can also basically trigger once here, the one that you want to upgrade, and trigger a random other one. For example, it could have triggered chance to shock on hit, so this would have gone to tier 3. Obviously, that increases the percentage chances and the attributes on it. And once it reaches 0 forging potential, you can't do anything with it anymore. It's basically done. You can't craft with it anymore. Another very important part is Glyph of Despair, which basically seals an affix. Now it's put on here, and I can basically add another affix on this item, which is insanely good, because it basically allows you to have 5 attributes, 5 affixes on one item, even though the normal maximum is 4. And this isn't guaranteed, it has a chance to seal it. It can also just upgrade it, but I got lucky, it got sealed on here, and now I would like to, for example, add something else, like, I don't know, a chance to health on kill. Now, put this one in, and as you can see, forging potential was not removed. Again, and again. And this way you can get a tier 5. This is the very, very basic parts of crafting. And now if I want to shatter this item because I just don't need it anymore, then I can just use this rune, and as you can see, I will get a certain number of affix shards for health on kills. It's completely random, by the way, what shards you will get from these items, and shards are what you need to upgrade your items, obviously. Now let me just grab this one real quick.
Take care.
To show you one other rune that's also very important. If you have something, for example, tier 5 armor, there are some very rare shards that you can get. For example, the skill shards that increase the level of your skill are very, very, very rare, and you want to get the maximum of those as much as you can. There is a glyph for a rune for that, and that is the rune of removal. Removes a random affix on an item, returning a number of shards equal to its tier. The good part is you can do this as often as you have affixes on this item. So for example, I got lucky, it removed the armor shards, but let's just say I actually wanted necrotic resistance. As long as I still have forging potential, I can just use this again. Bam.
now I have 4 necrotic shards because it was tier 4. This also applies with the Glyph of Hope, so you can also put a Glyph of Hope in, and it has a 25% chance of not using Fortune potential as well. So highly recommend you do that as well. And now I'm done basically. I could just sell it or just chatter it for nothing. But that is the basics, the very, very basics of crafting. If you want to know more about it, please feel free to write in the comments and I will make a dedicated crafting guide. Now, another important part is stash. As we all know, we have a lot of loot to earn and get, and stash is almost always a problem. I can confidently tell you this isn't a problem in this game at all whatsoever. First of all, you have different tabs here. For example, this is just a general tab. You can have a tab for exalted items, which are the items that drop tier 6 or 7. For example, this is an exalted item. This is a tier 6 item. If you press Alt, you basically see what the prefix does. A short explanation of the different attributes. And if you press Control and Alt, you can see the tier, as well as the range that it can drop in. For example, 58% to 74% for the increased cast speed. And it's tier 6, as it says, drop only, so tier 6 and 7 can only drop. That's it for the exalted items. And now for the actual point of this explanation, the stash tabs. You can have basically unlimited amount of stash tabs. That's not an exaggeration. I don't know what the limit is, but I haven't found it yet. You can basically just purchase a new stash tab for some gold. And if you don't want to like scroll through here and everything, you can just have them all here. And this is a stash tab. Let's just say, for example, I want this one to have uniques. I can just give it a name. For example, unique 3. So now it's for uniques. And then I can also just give it a symbol, as well as turn it into red, for example. Now I have 3 tabs for my uniques to place. I have in place for my idols, keys, dungeon keys, and for exalted items, of course. Highly recommend to don't stress about stash tabs, because you can have more than enough, trust me. And that's it for stash tabs. And now the final one, or one of the final ones, the end game. The end game is very much heavily focused on monoliths. In the Echo of Time, the End of Time, sorry, on here you will find these monoliths. You can run through these monoliths and complete them, and in these monoliths, for example, let's just go to this one, there are different types of echoes. These echoes allow you to farm different types of stuff. For example, I want to, for some reason, I need gold. I could just do this because it will give me piles of gold. This one will give me FX shards. This one will give me gold. This one will give me rewards and catalysts. So you can decide what you want to farm and focus on. It's totally up to your decision. And once you reach these checkpoints, quest echoes, you will get these quest echoes, and you can do these. And the first 2 are basically more or less normal missions, some small missions, and you have to do a small quest. And after these 2 quest echoes, you can go to this quest echo, the third one, which is the final boss fight. And once you complete this boss fight, you basically completed the monolith, and it resets, and you can just run it again if you want. But what I would recommend you to do if you want to progress quickly is to just focus on the right side over here. So Fall of the Outcasts, the first one that you have to do, then the Black Sun, Ending the Storm, Reign of Dragons, Age of Winter, Last Ruin, as well as Spirits of Fire. These are the 4 final monoliths. After you've completed all 4 of these, you will unlock empowered monoliths, which allow you to basically just get more rewards, get better rewards, but also increased level, of course. For example, these start at 58, and in the empowered monoliths start at level 100, the maximum level. But this shouldn't be a problem. Once you've completed them, you should be more than strong enough to complete them. And this is basically the end game. You just go in and farm different echo types, and once you reach empowered monoliths, you get corruption, which increases, of course, the rewards, but also increases the challenge. And the more corruption, the stronger the boss gets, the stronger the enemies get. And it's just an amazing way to farm items, in my opinion. It's great. And the last tip for today is about the item factions. There are 2 item factions in Last Epoch that you can choose from, and they are a very important decision because they drastically change the way that you play the game and get items and gear. We have the Circle of Fortune and the Merchant's Guild. The Circle of Fortune is focused on you finding the loot and increasing your gear chances, your drop chances to find better and rarer gear. And the Merchant's Guild is focused on trading and lets you put up items to sell on a bazaar, on the trading board, and lets you buy for gold from other players. So if you like trading, you can choose a merchant's guild, but if you're one like me that personally likes to get the loot himself, to get the good items himself, you can choose a Circle of Fortune. If this video helped you out, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe, because it really helps the channel grow. And see you guys soon in the next video.